Dan here, jumping on with another bunch of emails from the Jay Slater case. Thanks to everyone who took part. And by the way, if you got a question, do let us know. The email address is here. Feel free to take part at any stage. We're open 24/7. Not only that, if you've got some new information that you'd like us to know, please do get in touch. You can stay anonymous, or indeed if you want to give your name, you can do that as well. But really, it's up to you. It's another Baltic day here, so let's crack on and get into it. First question comes from Garrett in Ipswich. Garrett says the GoFundMe page has closed at long last. Is it long overdue or what? Certainly, Garrett, it's long overdue. It's been going on for quite some time. It should have been closed when Jay Slater passed, but for some unknown reason, it has only been closed now. The target, as you know, was around about 30 grand. That was exceeded, and it has doubled, and to the extent that it's now past 70 grand. Should it have been closed long before now? Of course it should. But of course, there's greed out there, and the family itself had no intention of closing it until now. And the pressure has become to bear for so many months. But at least they've done the decent thing right now, and that GoFundMe page that so many people have contributed to is now closed. The next question now is, where is the money going to go? Because that is where the real questions are going to be asked. And time will tell where the money will go and where it's going to go. Now, if it's going to go to the family for funeral expenses and everything tied in with that, I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. But they're not surely going to keep all the 72 grand for that. So the big question is, where is the rest of the money going to go? And where is it going to go? Because if it goes elsewhere and it's misappropriated in any way, questions will be asked. And for one thing, the Slaters have no place to hide and won't be able to get away with it, because this has been going on way too long. And more than one have had their say that it shouldn't happen, and it should have been closed long before now. We've had all those people who've been trolling and who've been saying words to the effect that this should never have happened in the first place, all true. But here is the real nub of the equation. When you set a target of 30 grand, stop it at 30 grand. Don't keep it going until you have exhausted the fund completely and you've really pissed people off in a big way. And that's what's after happening here, because the general consensus of opinion here is that the Slaters have really went to town on this case. In one sense, they haven't came out and asked for justice for their son. They've kept silent. But on the other hand, they've looked for money and donations from everyone. You can't have bread and butter on both sides of the slice and expect to have jam on top. It's a bit much for people to fork out without any reason whatsoever. So again, these questions are relevant. These questions are going to be asked. And I'm not quite sure if the Slater family do want justice for Jay at all. Was it just money from the beginning? And now it is very easy to write a closing statement and saying words to the effect that they have banished all trolls and love is for everybody. It is indeed, but it's a two-way street. But the Slaters have a lot to answer for here. I hope the money that they get, they'll use it wisely and not misappropriate it in any fashion, because if that does happen, they are really going to show themselves up for what they are. But Gareth, thanks for your email, and we've had so many people coming at us in the past couple of days regarding this topic that we had to make a video on it. And of course, it's your emails that count. But for now, we'll see where this rabbit hole will exist and where it will go. But one thing is for sure, this GoFundMe page that so many people have been trying to tell us is going to last 2 years before it's going to be closed. It could be closed within 2 weeks if people wanted it to be closed. But now it has been. So now there's more questions to be answered. We'll see if those answers will ever happen. But time will tell. Let's move to another question. Stacey from Glasgow has been in touch, and thanks, Stacey, for your question. Indeed, thanks for all your support. It's much appreciated, because as you can imagine, this case has been really a tissue of lies from the word go right up until now. Very few people want justice for Jay Slater, and the few that do find that they're being distracted in so many different ways, both online and by email, and there's people out there with agendas, and there's people at top pouring money down just to kill this case. But this question is very, very relevant. Are cartels involved in the nightclub where Jay was last seen? And was there money laundering? First of all, the cartels are involved, and they're getting kickbacks from that club, and they're paying in a big way those nightclubs to the cartels that we have mentioned in the past. Is there money laundering going on? We've had 3 different sources telling us that there is. So we can say for definite that money laundering is taking part in these clubs. They are all linked to a cartel group that we have mentioned in the past, a cartel group whose head is sitting in Dubai, who's there with 5 million on his head, and is going to be extradited sooner rather than later, and he has got a price to pay. His and his dirty bunch who have committed so many crimes in the past, and really and truly these people have no place for hiding. Dubai may once be a safe haven, but being extradited and having only a couple more options left, like North Korea and Russia, I think you know where that's going to go. These people will go behind bars sooner or later, and the crime that happened to Jay Slater should also be attached to these people who think they have themselves covered in every way. They've been spreading money around, so much so that close to $1 million has been paid out, and there's still more there just to kill this case. And they think they've done a bang-up job to date by what they've done, but they fool nobody. The people that are looking for justice for Jay Slater, and there's only a few, by the way, some of these people are just more interested in selling dodgy merchandise and getting grubby subscriptions. But the real people, the genuine people who want justice for Jay Slater, who have nothing to gain but justice, and that's all they want, will get it sooner rather than later. But a great question from Stacey. Thank you for that. There is cartels involved here, and we both know who they are. Time for another question. Duncan, who is in the island of Tenerife, how much money was spent in killing this case? We've already referred to close to $1 million at the moment. It's been filtered down. So many people, from people with name recognition, from judges to police, right down to mules, have all been paid just to kill this case off. And the people at the very, very bottom, there's been fear instilled into them to keep their mouth shut or else, and they're living with fear. But sooner rather than later, one of these people are going to crack, and they're going to let the information out. And money is the root of all evil, always has been, always will be. And these people will be caught. These people will serve time. These people will be jailed, and they should be jailed for life, because let's face it, very few people are looking for justice for Jay Slater. Many people talk the talk, but very few walk the walk. But that's a question from Duncan in the island of Tenerife. Thank you for that. It's a great question. And by the way, if you have a question, anything related to the Jay Slater case, no matter how insignificant you may think it might be, do please get involved. Drop us an email, stay anonymous if you wish, give your name, but do please get involved, because we need your help. We need everybody's help to get a result in this case, and we're here for justice, and justice only for Jay Slater. Not too many people are, but we certainly are. Okay, another question. This is Marie in Barcelona. Marie says, will the killers of the awful crime be brought to justice? It's been going on way too long for now. And is the appetite on the decrease? I think what you're saying really is that there's been so much talk regarding the Jay Slater case. Is there ever going to be a conclusion? Unfortunately, these things do take time. I know what you're saying. It can be frustrating. It can take a lot of time, and people do get enough of one particular case if there isn't a conclusion. But I would say to you, Maria, is do bear with us. These things do take time. I'm afraid it's not like an episode of Blue Bloods where there's a conclusion after an hour. There's lots of intricacies going on here, and there's lots of information being leaked out. Some of it not always true, but the information sometimes being leaked out is there for a distraction, and a distraction only for people to go down a different rabbit hole and just push the case back further and further. But we're here to push the case forward, and we're going to continue with that. And if it takes a long time, so be it. We're not just going to give up because the consensus of opinion is saying the same thing. We're going to stick with it, and until we find a conclusion, that being justice for Jay Slater, we're going to keep at this case and chip away at it day by day, regardless of what people say, regardless of what people vent. And if people are here just to cause a distraction, let them do it. We're not going to be distracted in any shape or form. We're going to be here for the long haul. And we've said it before and we've said it again. Not many people are out there for justice for Jay Slater. Bear that in mind. And don't kid yourself about everything you hear in the media as well, which most of the time is not true at all. If you want to hear the truth, you'll hear it here before anywhere else, despite what people will say. Let's move to another quick question. Tony in Newcastle. Is there links between the cartel you've mentioned in the past? There certainly is. We know the two cartels. One of them is Irish, one of them is Moroccan. There is huge connections between the two, and at least two people, two friends of Jay Slater, are linked with this particular cartel and are still involved to this very day and continue to do so. And their aim, of course, as usual, is to kill this case. They're certainly not going to do anything else. They're not going to come forward and confess in any shape or form, because they've been warned if they do, they could face lifetime consequences. At the moment, they are still involved in drugs, and they are still involved in going to various different festivals and lining up more drug mules. So if you thought there was only going to be one Jay Slater, I'm afraid there's going to be more if these people are allowed to continue and keep getting their ill-gotten gains and thinking they can really live the good life on their drugs and everything that goes with it. It's a life that's only going to wind up one way, and it's not good. But when people are involved in drugs, they will never see the misfortune and the desperation and the deprivation of what people are going through, of what drugs do to them. And these people are just greed. They're all out for greed, and they think of nobody. They just think of themselves. They're number one, number two, and number three. They don't give a toss about anyone else. Never have and never will. But such is life, I'm afraid. These are the individuals sometimes you've got to deal with, and I'm afraid the further you can distance yourselves from them, the better. And one bonus question we have from Darren. Darren's in Cardiff. Thank you, Darren, for your email. And once again, don't forget, if you want to get in touch, drop us an email. And we, of course, will come back to it at a future date. Why don't the Slater family seek justice for Jay? We've been through this so many times, Darren. Quite simply, they have just closed the door on asking for justice. They have now taken a backseat for months upon months, and it's amazing they even wrote anything on the GoFundMe page. This is the same family who are more than willing to talk to the media at the start, but now, of course, they've decided for their own reasons that they're not talking to anybody. And you would imagine that if it was your son or your daughter, you would be shouting off the rooftops to anybody to get justice. But apparently the Slaters are not interested. For whatever reason, who knows? Draw your own conclusions. I have my own theories, but that's up to me. But that's the way it is, I'm afraid. That's the way it looks at the moment. We'll continue to get justice for Jay Slater, no matter how long it takes. If you want to take part in any stage, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And we'll catch you soon for more emails on the Jay Slater case.